The only thing we have to do is make decisions that help us be a better football team. That's the only thing we have to do. At the end of the day, you'll be judged, and the proof will be of how it works out over the upcoming season, but over years.
Right.
Will be evaluated for that decision. But you got to make it. You can't sit back and be afraid to make tough decisions. You can't be afraid to take risks. Without risk, there is no progress.
All right, welcome into this week's EVP podcast, and it's the third edition of the EVP podcast with Executive Vice President of Football Operations.
Gaining
Tony
momentum.
Boselli.
We're gaining momentum.
I love always saying the name out because I like the length of that name. I think
there's a lot to it. A lot to it, John.
It really is. We're getting into it now where this isn't a new position for you anymore, though. Is it hard to believe that it's been 3 months and that you're sort of into it now?
Yeah, when's the line of demarcation where it's no longer new?
1 year.
Is it after 1 year?
Everything's always 1 year in the
1
NFL.
year, so it's still new then because we're just.
You were a rookie until you weren't.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. That's fair. Yeah, it's going great. I mean, I think we've made great progress. I think we're on the field now. We had, obviously the draft is behind us. We got the rookies in here. Made the big move in the draft. Got Travis Hunter. We feel good about where we are right now, but a lot of work to be done. We're not keeping score yet.
Right.
That's when the true test is, but we're getting ready to and doing the prep. And I think Liam and his staff are doing just a great job watching practice, the install, the teaching, the details around it. And so really excited of where we are, but a lot of work to be done still.
We're 4 or 5 days out from Minicamp. Just give me your impressions.
It's tough for me because I want to be consistent, John. We talked a lot. I said, it's don't make any – I always would say is don't make judgments on fake football because it's not real football right now.
Right.
But it's still important. I don't want anyone to take that as like, hey, this isn't an important time.
It's super important
critical
for teaching as opposed to evaluation.
I think it's hard to really evaluate. What you can evaluate is the demeanor of the guys you've brought in, their learning style, how much they can comprehend, and the capacity. And our coaches are throwing a lot at them. How they got integrated to the program. You watch a little bit on the field. Maybe the athletic ability and how they go integrate with the rest of their teammates and going through individual and stuff. But we're not competitive on the field right now. Individually, the individuals are competing with themselves to be the best they can, which we hope we do every day. But we're not doing offense-defense competition where you're really evaluating football. Right now in Phase 2, we don't even have helmets on.
Right.
So we'll get into Phase 3 coming up here real quick. We'll put some helmets on. A little bit of competitiveness, but still, it's not real football. Until you get the pads on and really start competing, playing football, that's when I think you start evaluating even at a deeper level. Everyone's evaluated every day around here. But I want to be consistent and not get too far ahead.
Try not to judge until pads go on.
Because I think you make mistakes.
Right.
You either fall in love with a guy that you have to convince yourself to fall out of love with when you're really seeing football, or you have a negative thought about an individual and that doesn't allow you to see what they can do when you're playing football. So I think you have to stay balanced this time of year. It's an important time of year for our players, our coaches, everyone in this building. At the same time, it's the very beginning portion of the evaluation process.
I'm going to ask you about Travis Hunter because
everyone does?
He's obviously the topic. What did you see out there, but more importantly, what have you seen just being around him? Well,
the confirmation that he's a supreme athlete with amazing body control. But I think my favorite thing that I've seen, and we believed this when we drafted him, is the type of human being he is, the competitive nature, the desire to be great as an individual, the good teammate. How this is the second overall pick, a guy who won the Heisman, is going to play both ways, and he doesn't separate himself out from the rest of the rookies or the rest of his draft class. Doing it right is really important to him. And so that combined with just the natural joy he brings because of his personality, everything I expected and more, and really looking forward to when we actually start playing real football out there, see what he can do.
I want to get into the fan engagement that we saw on Saturday, but one more question about Travis. He, when you made that trade, it's an incredibly gutsy trade for multiple reasons. You're talking about a guy that James Gladstone says can shape the game, and yet it's very unconventional, and you trade it up. How did you feel a gravity of the move in that sense?
Yeah, I think it was a big decision, a big strategic decision, and I give James a ton of credit for his leadership through the entire process and how he envisioned it and how he put it together. It's collaboration between James, Liam, and I. We go to Shad with big decisions like that, but it was James who led it, and it was James who put the deal together. And as far as the gravity of the decision, my approach is like we are making big decisions every day, and even some of the little decisions to just do things the right way.
But that's a big.
That's a big one. There's no doubt about it. You're trading away a first-round pick next year. You're trading away a second-round pick this year. But you have to have conviction.
Right.
You have to have a set of beliefs. Say, this is what makes us the best we can be, and then you got to go execute it. Because just talking about it, theorizing about it, anyone can do that.
Yeah, a lot of teams would have sat there and said, boy, it'd be cool if we could do that. But we can't do that. We got to, we have to do it this way. But it was a tone-setting move in that sense.
The only thing we have to do is make decisions that help us be a better football team. That's the only thing we have to do. And then our job in this building is to evaluate, look at the whole board, the whole picture in front of us, and then do the research, do the work, and at the end of the day, come together and make a decision that we are convicted about and go out and execute it. Now, at the end of the day, you'll be judged, and the proof will be of how it works out over the upcoming season, but over years.
Right.
Will be evaluated for that decision. But you got to make it. You can't sit back and be afraid to make tough decisions. You can't be afraid to take risks. Without risk, there is no progress. And we want to move forward. We want to progress. We want to build a championship organization. So we have to make decisions that we think will lead us to that destination. And we had conviction that Travis was an individual we wanted to be a Jacksonville Jaguar. We knew it would be expensive. It was going to cost us something. We know there's risk in it. Anytime you draft a player, you're projecting of what they can do at this level.
And it brings the spotlight.
And that's fine.
Right.
Like if you're going to shy away from the bright lights, probably
you're in the wrong business.
Probably in the wrong business.
If people weren't here on Saturday when you opened Minicamp to the fans, it's hard to get a feel for just how cool that was. I know that was important to you, sort of in the big picture of having fans embrace this team. We've talked about it on this podcast, but it's one thing to say it. It's another thing to sort of do that and to have James and Liam buy in. Why is it so important to you, and how cool is that to see Saturday?
Well, at the end of the day, we want our fans engaged. I want Everbank Stadium filled.
Right.
Not 3/4, not 2/3. I don't want to see empty seats. But for us to do that, it's our job to engage our fans and put a product on the field that they can be proud of and that they're excited about.
That's sometimes hard to do when football people traditionally, we're going to get this done, and it's a little unconventional and forward thing, which is pretty cool.
We are in the entertainment business.
Yep.
We are asking people to spend their hard-earned dollars to come watch us.
But it's football.
Play football and be excited and happy when they leave the stadium.
Right.
That's what we're doing. I mean, we can never forget that we have a bunch of people who live here in Jacksonville and around the country that are Jaguar fans. We want them engaged. We want them, if they're not here, watching us, engaging with us through all the different platforms that are available. If they are within a driving distance or if they can afford to fly here on Sundays, we want them in that stadium. I want them to spend their hard-earned dollars to come watch us play football. Well, to do that, we have a job. We have to engage them. We have to put a product that they're proud of and that they're excited about. And when we had the opportunity and we sat down as a leadership team with the business side of it, with Chad Johnson, Mark Lamping, and that team, and we had just drafted Travis Hunter. Our fans are excited. We're going to have a rookie minicamp. why wouldn't we open it up? Why wouldn't we
Some
allow
football executives who give you about 15 bad reasons?
Well, I can give them 100 good reasons. Yeah. And I thought it was great. I think our players enjoyed it. There was energy. I think our coaching staff enjoyed it. At the end of the day, we're out there playing football.
Right.
And I give a lot of credit to, Chad Johnson and that team working with us. If you'd have asked me at 10:30 that morning whether we were going to be able to practice outdoors
right.
and in front of our fans, I would have said there's no chance. It was raining like it was the end of the world, like we're going to have to build an ark. And but we went through the process. We had a drop dead time of when we could call it one way or another. We worked all the way through it. Our field team, our facilities team, Jeff DeLuca and that group did a great job on the field getting it ready. Got the water out the best we could. And we said at the end of the day, if the grass is safe enough and it's safe for our players to practice, we're going to go out there and practice and let our fans see this football team.
I know you and Fred talked to the team about what it means to be a Jaguar. That's really cool. Why was that important to you, and what was that experience like?
Yeah, it was important to me for a lot of reasons.
Fred Taylor, by the way.
Fred Taylor. I came here in '95. We had no history, no tradition. There were no former Jaguars for us to look to as a rookie class. We had to create that. We had good veterans that did a good job leading, but it was also a lot driven by Tom Coughlin. Mm-hmm. And so when we started talking about the onboarding of the rookies and the rookie dinner with the legends, wanted as many former Jaguars that could be here for dinner and sit with the rookies and talk to them. But to me, it was really important to have Fred Taylor here, one of, if not the greatest Jaguar of all time, who played the game the right way. Was, in my mind, a guy that you would put up in front of anybody and say, this is what a Jaguar is. Tough, competitive.
Passionate, cares about the organization.
Learned how to be a pro from the time he was a rookie and became one of the best pros.
Right.
And grew. And I said, who better than Fred Taylor to sit in front of our rookies and talk about what it meant to be a pro in this league, but also what it meant to be a Jaguar.
And they were probably pretty quiet when he was talking.
Yeah, and that's a guy with a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
And he's been from where he grew up and going to Florida and coming here as a first rounder and the growth he had. People don't remember he didn't win the starting job until James Stewart got hurt, and then took advantage of his opportunity, became the greatest running back ever in this franchise and one of the best to ever play in the NFL. So I felt like it was important. The dinner was important for them to sit with, a more intimate setting with guys and eating dinner. But I wanted them to hear.
You had a lot of good attendance for that, right?
We did.
From the alumni.
We did, and I appreciate our alumni coming, and they did a great job. But most important for me was Fred Taylor being able to sit there and say, and not only for them to hear the words he was speaking and feel his presence, but to see an individual that really, I think, embodies what it means to be a Jacksonville Jaguar. What
have you noticed on the field in terms of Liam Cohen's coaching? How is this looking different from your perspective? I know you weren't here last year, but you were around.
I don't want to compare it to anything else. That's not fair to Liam, and it's not fair to the guys who coached here in the past. And really what we did in the past doesn't matter.
Right.
It has no impact on what we're going to do now. But what I'll say about Liam, that I've hit the detail of the approach and how we are teaching and installing is really impressive. Like, every detail is important.
And that filters through the whole staff.
The whole staff. It goes through the whole staff. And then his intensity and his competitive spirit is on full display, not only when he's in front of the team at the team meeting. He's an outstanding communicator. He captures the attention of everybody in that room. But then you watch him on the grass and how he goes around and is communicating to the entire team, to his staff, with an intensity that you can feel and that you understand the importance of this. And then what's really cool for me is he's an individual that can coach and teach every position on offense in really good detail.
Right.
He's a very talented football coach, And so far what I've seen and witnessed is really exciting, and looking forward to when we actually start playing real football with pads and get ready for the season, go through preseason, and get to the first Sunday after Labor Day.
It's probably not fair to this group, but I know it's your passion. Offensive line.
Yeah, again, I'm being consistent.
I know there's no pads.
It's like I used to tell everyone when I was a player, they want to go out there and evaluate us, and
right.
I'm like, good luck.
Do whatever.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Right.
What I'll say about him, Sean Surratt is doing a great job watching his style and his teaching and what he's taking them through. He's doing a great job. And what I like about the group, there's a competitiveness about them. They are working really hard in the weight room. We're starting to see them come together as a unit. We have 4 free agents, pro free agents. We have 2 drafted guys, 1 college undrafted, and then the guys who are here. And so part of that, to be a successful and a good offensive line, is the cohesiveness of
right.
those 5 guys. And you have to build relationships. You have to build trust. You have to work together. And watching that unit, whether it's in the weight room, in phase 2, before, after work, just getting together and really spending time and building those relationships. Really good early returns. Looks good. And they're working hard out there. But
right.
for me, the evaluation of
sure.
looking at what we got and who are our best 5, that's what camp's for.
2 questions before we get to your favorite segment, the Bozone.
Yeah, Bozone.
We've talked a lot about him, but I haven't talked to you since the draft about James Gladstone. Just first draft, handling that process, I was struck by how in the first draft, it was clearly his world. He was clearly leading it. How impressed were you?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, we've talked about this, and I think people all the time ask us, like, okay, you got this leadership structure where you have 3 individuals all reporting to Shad. And I give Shad a ton of credit. The vision that he laid out of how this would work and how he wanted it to work, number one, you better have the right people in those seats. I believe we do. That's very self-serving because I'm one of them. So take that with a grain of salt. But the communication and the collaboration's been great. But also why that works is because it's very clearly defined who's responsible for what, who's going to lead each of these areas. I mean, there's no question who the head coach is.
Right.
What happens on the grass, what happens in those team meetings, of how we're going to operate, what our culture is, and that communication that's Liam. That's his area. Do we talk about a lot of that stuff as a group, the 3 of us? Does he bounce ideas and get feedback from us? Sure.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's his call. He's the head coach. He's going to make those calls. No different when it comes to whether it's pro free agency and the draft. That's James Gladstone's area of expertise. He led us, whether it was the trade for Travis Hunter. Did we all talk about it, bounce it back and forth, and go through the scenarios and talk about how we felt about it and slept on it and kind of work through the process? Absolutely we did. That's part of the greatness of James, for him to engage that way and to go through a process. At the end of the day, it was his call.
Right.
At the end of the day, he's leading us. When we got in that draft room and went through the process and with our scouts and everything else, working towards Thursday night, day 1 of the draft, James led it. It was him kind of going through the process, building his call sheet, how we stack the players, where they sit, working close collaboration with the coaching staff of how they saw it, our scouts saw it. But when it came time to make the decision, when it came time to call Andrew Berry at the Cleveland Browns to execute the trade, or to say, in round 3, when we're sitting there and a guy falls off the board that maybe we were targeting, now let's look at the trade opportunities to go back. What does that mean? Can we get our guy? Yeah, we were all in the room talking about it. James Gladstone's making the call.
Right.
That's his call. And the composure that he had and how he handled everything from up to the draft, the trade, getting Travis Hunter, but then day 2, day 3, and all the way into the undrafted free agents, it was impressive.
Like he'd been doing it forever.
It was his first draft as a GM. I get that. but it wasn't his first rodeo.
Right.
He was in complete control. As he has said, and the three of us have talked about, we'll be judged on how good this draft is probably over the next 2 to 3 years. But right now, if you just wanted to judge the process and how we went through it and how it was executed and where I sit today, man, A+. I mean, I'm not sure how he could have done better. Right. And what's exciting to me and what we've been working on now and what he's been spending a lot of time on is how do we improve the process as we start working into next year.
I'm sure he has thoughts. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the schedule. I always feel stupid asking schedule questions because you never know what the schedule really is until the season starts. But any thoughts on anything stand out about the 25 schedule?
We're going to be traveling quite a bit.
Yeah.
We got 4 West Coast games.
Looks like a tough start to me, though. 5 of 7.
Yeah.
5 of the first 7 teams had winning records last year. That's the kind of thing that people will lock onto.
This is a year-to-year league. Guess
right.
what I can guarantee? There's going to be a team that finished last place in the division last year that's going to win the division and go to the playoffs.
Right.
It's happened every year for I don't know how many years.
The biggest truth is you don't know how hard a schedule is until week 6.
You have no clue. And unfortunately, there's going to be injuries in this league.
Right.
None of these teams are the same as they were last year. Each of us are new teams, whether it's new staffs, maybe it's the same staff, but you trade players retired, you cut players, you draft new ones, you have pro free agency. Each of these teams are a little bit different. So everyone talks about, man, you got a tough start.
Right.
Do we?
How do you know? Right.
Maybe.
Good to get the primetime game here, though.
Well, I think
Kansas City.
I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, let's go. Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
The best franchise in this era.
Yeah. Last 15 years to find the league.
Most successful franchise, head coach, starting quarterback, coming in to Everbank, Monday Night Football. Let's go. I can't wait. And so, but they're all tough. That's one thing you learn as a player. We played 16 back when I played. All 16 were going to be a challenge.
Right.
It's not like you're walking in and saying, hey, we're going to go play some Division I AA team today, and let's roll out the ball. We got no problems. I mean, it's competitive. Most games are one-possession games when you get in the fourth quarter. And so I'm looking forward to the challenge, and I believe our coaches and our players are going to be up to it. We have a lot of work to do between now and then to get ready for it.
The old man's going to put his glasses on and take you into the Bozone. How about that?
I love the Bozone.
Josh from Atlanta, Georgia writes, in the spirit of Travis being such a freak athlete, who would you say are the three greatest athletes, easy for me to say, you have ever seen play or cover? That was me. Greatest athletes you played against or with?
Fred Taylor. I know
he's on my list.
Is probably one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen play the game of football.
Right.
Trying to think who else just jumps out when I was playing.
But Fred, in the NFL of guys you played with, Fred stands out.
Oh, unreal.
That's the first name I thought.
Yeah. I mean, another guy that watching him play live and playing against him, watching Barry Sanders run the ball is like, my goodness. Not very many guys could tackle him.
Players on offense in the other team would go watch.
Oh, yeah, you go watch.
Right. Yeah, that was always the phenomenon.
It was unreal. Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Playing against Randy Moss.
You saw that firsthand one night.
Firsthand up there on a Sunday night. That was not a lot of fun. Boy, there's so many.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many great. I mean, John Randall.
Sure.
His size, the power, the quickness was unreal. I mean, Ray Lewis. I mean, you can go down the list. I mean, there's so many.
It's interesting you said Fred, because when I thought of athletes, I thought of, okay, who did things that made what should be hard look really easy?
I'll give you another guy.
That's what Fred could do.
Yeah, Fred was. I'll give you another guy we played with. Tony Brackens was one of the most athletic guys I've ever been around in my entire life.
Yeah.
What he could do from a strength, power, speed, change of direction. It was remarkable.
Good answers. Cliff from Orange Park, Florida writes, getting Hunter seems more of a we are a player away move. Does it say anything about how confident the regime is that they made that move?
I don't believe you're ever a player away.
Right.
I think that's a misnomer.
It's a talking head
I
cliche.
think that's a misnomer.
Yeah.
This is the ultimate team sport. You got 11 guys in offense, better be all on the same page, and we say it a lot about a lot of things, but the sum of the parts is greater than the individual in football. And so I don't think it says anything. I think what it says is we felt like Travis Hunter made us a better team,
Right.
More than anyone else we could get in this draft, and whatever we had to give up for him was well worth it.
Gotcha.
I think that's all I would take from it. Doesn't speak to where we think or don't think we are.
Find that out in September. Right.
I mean, I got a lot of thoughts that I'll keep to myself of where we are and what I believe, because it doesn't really matter until we go out in the field and prove it. We all the talk. We can talk about what we want to do and what we're going to do and what type of team we're building and all that. And we have a vision, and Liam has a clear vision of what he wants to do, and James has a strategy of how we're going to execute that. End of the day, got to go do it on the grass, right. And that's what we will all be judged on: players, coaches, front office.
Final Bozone question. Rob from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania writes, "Hey John," who was directed to me, but we'll say, "Hey Tony,
thank you.
What's up? What is the most improved area on this team, including coaching?" I know it's a tough question to ask specifically, but areas that you see improve.
Yeah, again, most improved. We're trying. I mean, I'll just say for me, I'm not really looking back to what happened last year, and so I will say this: I'm excited about what we're building. I'm excited about our coaching staff. We talked about Liam earlier, his leadership, his football acumen, the staff he's put together, how we are engineering this roster right now with James leading that. So I like where we are. I'm excited about where we are. We are not a finished product by any means. And so we need to continue to get better, improve, look for ways to improve with our current players and our current roster to get them to be the best versions of themselves and to allow them to reach their maximum potential, but always also looking at like how can we improve as an organization, as a team, in any way. And so, again, we are at the early stages. We have not put pads on. We have not played real football with these guys. We are in the teaching and learning phase, install, which is critical. And so when we are having these podcasts in the season, we'll have a better sense of right where we are.
Tony, I will let you get to minicamp practice. Thank you for doing the EVP podcast. Great stuff as always, buddy.
Thanks, man.